Okay, let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen. I want to have some slides up here for this because I want to make sure we are staying on track. The slides are for me, they are not for you. Okay, plot twist. How we have our one-to-one coaches, aka you, stop being broke. You have gifts you are meant to share with the world, but you are not meant to be broke. You are meant to have both. You are meant to have it all, and that's what we're going to talk about why you don't have it all. So, here's what to expect. We are going to discuss what is the invisible problem that's actually holding you back. Like, what is the reason you're not hitting $5,000 months, $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month? What is going on? So, that's the invisible problem. And then we're going to go into how you need to start showing up, how you need to execute, first set a goal and execute on that goal so that you will get the results that you seek, which is that extra $5,000 in revenue that you're already getting. There's a couple different pathways to get there. So I'm actually going to break down the strategy of what you can create inside of your business to reach this 5K revenue goal. And then there's going to be lots of time to go specifically into questions. So if you're here live with me, we're going to do some one-to-one support with your business specific to what you're struggling with. If you're watching this replay after, just reach out to me if you have a question. I'm probably going to upload this to YouTube as well, just so that everybody has access to this information because we all deserve to share our gifts and be filthy fucking rich. So, I'm Angie. For those of you that don't already know, oh my God, this picture is me wearing the same shirt. That's so funny. This was not planned. What else is funny about this is I do YouTube videos and I always forget to take the picture of the thumbnail. So I have to like screenshot or whatever it is. I saved that part of the video to make a picture and this was the one that I saved. So here we are, jazz hands. I used to be a child protection social worker and now I'm an entrepreneur and I use my skills from child protection, aka understanding how humans change their behaviors, understanding the pain and the pleasure and the neural desire, the wiring inside your brain. I call these neural response loops that actually activate change so that you can execute on your big goals. So basically what I did is I took my skills as a social worker and I brought them into business. And that wasn't really my intent. My intent was I was so burnt out as a social worker. Like a lot of one-to-one coaches, we have gifts, we have background in therapy or counseling or coaching in some sort of area, but you work for an organization and you're just boxed in, right? You're just like wrapped in all this red tape and it's so frustrating because you know that you're not doing the work that you know you could be doing and you're not showing up and helping your clients. A really good example of this, I just had a meeting with a lady and she works with domestic violence survivors. And the program she works within, in order to get funding, they have a name of the program and it's called Stopping the Violence. But the word violence is literally in the name. And it's triggering for the women that she's meant to support. And it's actually a deterrent factor. So she's actually changed the name on the front, but had to keep it in the back. It's just little shit like that. Those little minuscule things that somebody in an upper management position in an office that doesn't even do the direct work with the clients, they're like, oh, let's call it this. This sounds good. Maybe ChatGPT spit it out for them. And it doesn't actually connect with the client. So a lot of times we get burnt out in our jobs, not because of the workload, not because of compassion fatigue, but because our gifts are being boxed up in red tape. And that's exactly what happened to me. Just case on top of case on top of case. I know I was meant to support different people in different contexts, and I'm like, you guys are just blocking me from doing the good work. That's what caused me burnout. And so when I initially started my business, I actually didn't plan on like taking my skills into this area. I was like, well, I'll do a life coach. Like that made sense to me. And then I fell into this like affiliate marketing scheme. And then I learned digital products. And I'm like, holy shit, there's a better way to make more money. Because I realized falling into the life coach is like lots of client referrals, right? You're working locally in community. You're not working at a global scale. And so you really are capped at like five, maybe if you're really good, $10,000 a month. And I wanted to make like 15, 20, 50, 100. Like I want to make $555,000 a month. That's the screensaver on my phone. Like that's the big goal here. And so now I understand how I can turn those skills into helping people because I've worked in the business space long enough that I see what's holding people back and I see where they're stuck. So the biggest thing holding you back, and you might not want to hear this and you might not believe it, is your identity. You don't get what you want in life, you get who you are. and I'm sure you're well aware of that. But what is your identity? Your identity is made up of the beliefs that you repeat, the decisions you make or you avoid making, and the evidence that your brain works tirelessly to collect. So a lot of coaches were in the helper role. You were meant to help others. You have these gifts. It lights you up. Like that's what fuels you, is seeing and witnessing and experiencing other people having a transformation. And it is such a gift. It is such a win to watch somebody overcome a barrier in their life. Like that is what this work is about. And that's what the work always has to be about. But because we like helping, we often fall into these permission seeking, self sacrificer, and the people pleaser. I think the people pleaser is the most relative one because it's the one talked about the most in society. So I'll just start there. The people pleaser. This is the need to make sure everybody feels good, feels comfortable. And a lot of this stems from childhood where you were told you're too much, or you were told to just dim it down a little bit, just be a little more quiet. And you learned that you were too much for people. You learned that your value, your worth didn't quite fit in. You've always kind of felt like the black sheep. So you adapted, as we do with human beings, to survive. And survival is based on like belonging and acceptance and being part of the tribe and being part of that community. And as part of that adaptation, you started wearing different masks for different people. You know, maybe at work you wear one mask, and maybe at home you're a completely different person. And when you're with a partner, a different person, and with your friends, you might be, again, a different person. And the problem is that gets exhausting because you become so disconnected from who you actually are that you don't even know what direction to go anymore. And the problem is in business is we get our clients and we shrink ourselves to make them comfortable. And that's harmful because our clients don't get the transformation they deserve, because we want our clients to feel good and we want our clients to win. But oftentimes the biggest mistake I see with coaches is in the process of wanting them to win, they're not being honest with them. And they'll adapt their business to the specific client. So sometimes that looks like you maybe just take any client with a credit card. You're just like, well, this person needs help and they're not really somebody I like working with, but they're willing to pay. And I want to get you out of that cycle, because that's what kills your business, is when you have to show up and you have to work with people that you just don't want to work with anymore. And we're going to talk about marketing just a little bit, but like, you're still going to get those people in. They're still going to come in. They're still going to come through the cracks. And it's always a good reminder when you are just serving your dream clients that it's okay. Make sure you're not falling into that people pleaser. It's really about holding the standard in your business and the expectations of like, this is how I operate and this is what I expect. Now, the second end of identity that we fall into as coaches is the self-sacrificer. So this is the idea that in order to be a good person, you have to be sacrificing something, which is such bullshit. Such bullshit. You can be a good person and still be fucking winning at life. And I have an example of this. You have like that friend, right? That just drains you. Oh, you problem after problem. They won't listen to you. They won't take your advice. And here they are again. Now you've got $100 and you need the whole $100 to reach your goal. But your friend comes up and she's like, man, I just really need $50 to get me back on my feet. And it's like, oh, you know, if I say no, then the guilt is going to come up. And I'm going to talk about what guilt is in a second. And then so you're like, oh, fine. You know, I give her the $50. You don't reach your goal. She spends the $50. She's happy for a minute. You're both back where you started. But in another scenario where you're not sacrificing your needs, your desires, you're not putting somebody else ahead of you, you say no to your friend. And it's really uncomfortable. And they go off and they're probably pissed off at you for a couple days, but you're like, no, I'm responsible for myself. My needs are important. My needs matter too. You use the $100, you reach your goal makes you whatever, a gazillion dollars, and then you're able to help your friend in a more meaningful way of actually like getting them to break the pattern that keeps getting them stuck. In both situations, you are a good person, especially in business, because your business revolves around your gifts, your skills, your purpose, your mission. When you are showing up, living your purpose, that in itself makes you a good person. So just remember this next time you're kind of like catering to somebody else, or maybe you're in a networking event and they're like, oh, if you could just like, give us all of this or like do the table for free or do the presentation for free. No, hold the standard. That doesn't make you a good person. That devalues your gifts, what you're meant to share. And then the last one is permission seeker. This one, I swear, every time I go into a new mentorship container or invest in leadership, I fall into this permission seeker and I catch myself. So I actually rewatch my coaching calls when I'm being coached. And I look at myself and I'm like, why am I showing up like that? This is that little girl energy where you've been taught since like grade school that you need to put your hand up to go to the bathroom to relieve a bodily function, a need. You have to ask permission. So this is like deeply ingrained. The conditioning runs so deep. And so it's easy to fall back into this in our business and think that we don't know enough and think that we're not doing enough and think that somebody else is the expert. And then we abandon our values, our standards, what we stand for, what we stand against, our beliefs, and how we want to actually operate our business. And I do this a lot when I fall in and I watch these videos and I'm like, why am I showing up like a 6-year-old asking for permission on how to run my fucking business? And I have had coaches be like, no, you should do it this way. And then I'm like, okay, that's not really what I was thinking of. But yeah, you're making $1 million a month. So I should obviously listen to you. That doesn't work. Somebody else's result and the way that they got their result isn't going to work for you because you are unique. Yeah, you could follow their strategies and frameworks, but you have to adopt it to work for you. And there's always going to be something inside of you that knows, like, this doesn't feel right. And even when you try it in the moment, if it starts to feel forced, especially when we talk about marketing here in a minute and like the content creation, if it feels forced, it's not for you. It's just not for you. And there's no right way to do this. I just had a coaching call this morning where she was asking me about like, okay, well, if I start recording talking videos, like, do I have to be talking directly at the camera? Can I be talking like I'm having a conversation? I'm like, there's no fucking rules. You do whatever you are comfortable with. Just make sure you are talking to a specific person, AKA your dream client, every single time. So this is actually what's holding you back in your business. This is coming up for you. You probably have some money blocks that fall under the people pleaser where it's like, what do I look like? How will people perceive me as somebody who makes $10,000 to $20,000 a month? Does that make me greedy? Does that make me selfish? What's that going to change? And I'm going to tell you right now, money doesn't have a good or a bad. It's neutral. Money amplifies who you already are. So if you're a good person, it's going to amplify that. If you are a shitty person, it's going to amplify that too. Money is neutral. And when it comes to the self-sacrifice or you feel like you need to be doing more work, serving more clients, overgiving, underpricing, that is a limiting belief and part of your identity that needs to be rewired. You and your ability to provide a transformation is enough. I don't think that you should go into your business and be like, I'm going to charge $5,000 for one session. I think as the demand increases, that's when you raise your prices. But the worst thing you can do when you devalue your work is it actually impacts your client. Because clients that don't see the value, that don't have the leverage, they don't fucking show up. I have an example of this in my own community space where I include mentorship and the prices were quite low and nobody was showing up on the call. But you bet your ass when you're paying $1,500 a month for community and mentorship, you are not missing a single call. So falling into a line of this is reasonable and fair given my credibility, given what I can embody as a coach, and also enough leverage that the person I'm serving is going to show up. And then there's the permission seeker. You don't need to ask permission. It is great to get mentorship. It is great to have somebody looking at your blind spots in your business and establishing a rapport with you where they understand your long-term vision, what you actually want, what direction you want to go, but they're not in charge. They're not running the show. And the second you hand over that power, your business will crumble. It will do the opposite. You'll be losing money and you'll be like, shit, I'm supposed to be making more money. And so reflect on these in your business. We're not going to dive too deep into that because I want to be specific with each of you. But there's some reflection questions you can ask yourself when you do feel like you're hesitating to make a decision in your business that you know is going to grow or scale your business. I always just ask myself, what would I do if I trusted it was going to work out? What's the worst things that's going to happen? You're going to be back at square one and really audit the people pleaser. Set some boundaries in your life, set some boundaries in your business, and understand this one thing that the way you show up is a mirror, and you're not going to be for everybody. And the people that are offended by the way you show up, upset, hurt by the way you show up, you are reflecting to them all of the ways that they are unwilling to raise their own standards, to step into their full potential. But when you show up with that full conviction and authority without worrying about hurting somebody's feelings, but really just speaking your truth in your business, you are going to attract your dream clients that are like, yes, this is leadership. And what I see in her is what I want for myself. This is key. So, how do we really tap into executing on our goals? This is the biggest thing, knowing that those identities and those layers are holding us back. How do we execute? Well, we need to have a hunger for that goal. I'm just going to take a really quick little sip of my tea. We need to have a stronger desire, a why, not just I want to make more money. I mean, obviously we all want to make more money, but that can't be the only reason. So there are 4 pillars that make up a goal. There's the outcome. I'm just going to dive into outcome first, okay? This is not just the vision board, what you want your life to look like. It is feeling that. It's the anchor that you need to come back to, especially when you're uncomfortable in your business, especially when you need to make hard decisions like raising your prices or canceling clients or pivoting in a direction that aligns with you more. You know, the risk of losing clients. If you can get yourself embodying this anchor, you will be unstoppable. And this doesn't mean that you're attaching yourself to the timeline of results. This means that you are attaching yourself to the outcome to increase your ability to execute. So when I know I have a hard decision to make, or even when I'm just resisting showing up to do the work, to create my offers, to market my offers, oh, I don't want to show up and sell on my social media again, I will sit back and I will close my eyes and I will picture what I want my life to look like. And I will allow myself to feel it. I will smile. I'll really embrace it, like little tiny details. And once you can embody that outcome, that's when you make a decision, only from that place. Because a lot of people are waiting to feel ready to take it to the next level, and you're never going to feel ready. You're going to feel your current identity, your current state, the current result you're living in, or you're going to feel the outcome that you desire, and you're going to know what decisions you need to make to get there. These decisions can change the trajectory of your business every time. Like I said, raising your prices, taking it global, cutting back your one-to-one, putting people in a group offer. That is a decision that somebody makes that wants to scale their business, which brings us into the 3rd pillar, which is your identity. You are not going to hit your income goals as the person you are today. The only way to hit your income goals is as the future self, the person that has that outcome and makes those decisions. So get very connected with who that person is. What are their standards? What are their values? What are their beliefs? What actions do they take on a daily basis? How do they show up? This is very important because when you're connected with that person, you're going to operate in a way that isn't from fear, that isn't from scarcity. You're not going to procrastinate. You're not going to hesitate. You are going to execute on those goals. When you hold that identity, you are operating as somebody who already has it. So when you're like, oh, I have, 10 one-to-one clients and I don't have time to add more, so I can't actually increase my revenue, you say to yourself, I have 10 one-to-one clients. I'm going to put 10 people in a group container. I know their pain points. I know their problems. I know how to service them with a short, clear, concise curriculum. Don't add a bunch of shit. Like short videos, not 200 modules. And I'm going to offer mentorship and a community for them to belong to. And that's actually going to increase the value of my services, not decrease the value, because they're also going to learn from each other. And I'm going to give them the opportunity to learn from anywhere in the world. This is how you take your business global. That's the identity. I'm the kind of woman that leads a room, not just jumps from one client to the next. And then you got to have the beliefs. I'm the kind of woman who leads the room. You have scripts, but you probably didn't choose them, that run through your head, and these were not actually given to you. You need to operate from the belief system of somebody who wins every single day. That is the identity. That is the piece that makes up the identity, which then makes up the decision, which gives you the outcome or the result. That's how it all comes together. So these four pillars should always come back to that hunger, that desire of why it is you do what you do. Because if you don't have that to begin with, it's so easy to get disconnected from this. Let's talk about why you're here. Your revenue. Oh my gosh, I'm staying on time, you guys. I'm so proud of myself. There is, like we already talked about, no perfect way to build a business. It has to be unique to you, what your desires are, your lifestyle. So I want you to take a moment and I just want you to visualize, what do you want your days to look like? And feel free to put it in the chat if you want to. Like, what do you actually want your days to look like? Have you actually stopped to think about this? Or are we just chasing the revenue goals? Are we just chasing more clients? How do you want your days to look? Because if you have clarity on this question, you're going to know how to design your business. Maybe you want to have a roster full of clients. Maybe that's what lights you up. I want to meet with like 4 clients a day. It's going to be so exciting. Or maybe you're like me. I want to have one office day a week where I work really hard. Put in a lot of time, and then I want to have flexibility throughout the rest of the week. You know, as a stay-at-home mom to a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, it doesn't really fit. I'm not in the season where I have 4 back-to-back clients, but I'm working my way into that, knowing that my kids are going to be going to school and they're going to be engaged in more activities. I am going to be working towards like my higher level one-to-one clients because that stuff does light me up. I love doing one-to-one support, and I still do one-to-one support, but I'm not stacking it. So it really has to be like, what season are you in right now? And also, this can change. I work with clients who have different seasons in their life. And so some of them are working in the winter over at a retreat. And then in the summer, they want some downtime. So they only want to work with like 3 one-to-one clients. And then they want some passive offers in the background. And we're going to talk about offers that can be passive. You can be making money through funnels and systems, not showing up and being present. I mean, obviously, for the work you do, people want to see your face. And then the step 2 is, who is the dream client? I know a lot of people don't believe that this is a question you can ask yourself about business because we believe that we just have to take anybody with a credit card. It's not true. Who on your client roster right now do you despise working? You're like, oh, I don't want to have this call with them again. Why? We're just going to talk about the same shit over and over, and it just drains you. You are not going to speak to that person anymore. But who do you love? Who's your favorite client? The one that comes in and does the work and has the transformations and gives you the reviews and is always messaging like, oh my God, thank you so much. And you're like, thank you for the testimonial. What transformation do you offer that lights you up the most? Feel free to screenshot this as I'm going through it quite quickly because I want to have more one-to-one time with you guys. And then you can come back and like answer these questions again. And then step 3 would be, what are your income goals? Or sorry, I don't want to skip this part. What do you like sharing? What are the frameworks you love using? What do you love talking about? Yeah, connected to that transformation you provide. Like, what is the information you love sharing all the time? And then step 3 is, what are your income goals? And now let's 2x that. And allow yourself to get a little fucking delusional. Actually, I want you guys to put it in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, I want you to put it in the comments. And I want to know what your delusional income goals. I've already shared mine with you. This is me with my own little private plane, right? Just kidding. I'm not kidding. I do want to have my own private plane because I want to be able to service people who have to go for cancer treatment in our community and they have to like drive over these scary, dangerous mountain passes. I want to be able to just fly them over. Yeah, let's get delusional. What is your income goal? If everything worked out, you got to serve your dream client, you got to work the days you wanted, you got to share the information you loved, you did the transformation that lights you up. What is the delusional goal? 20K months, 100K months, $1 million months? If the goal seems reasonable, your brain doesn't give a shit about it. Why would your brain help you do anything to change if it's not something that's like, oh my God? We got to have some leverage here, guys. Some desire. Allow yourself to be like, oh, what would it feel like to make $50,000 a month? How much would that change my life? Feel it. Feel it. Make decisions from that place, always. And then we're going to move into some strategy. Your unique pathways. So these are just a few different pathways. So I'm going to break this down. On the left, because I've written out what you can do to get to these income goals. I guess this will be on the right for you guys. I'm not sure how this is showing up on your screen, but monthly group membership. And then there's subscription. You can do passive. You can do audio. Oh, sorry, guys. Let's move this. Subscription, passive. You can do training audios, Telegram drops. You can have a passive course that you just sell. A passive course can be a PDF, or it can be like a one-time course that they go through, they work through it, they have lifetime access. High ticket group membership looks like a course and mentorship. There's usually it's self-paced, but you give them weekly, bi-weekly, 2 times a week, whatever support looks like. And then you have your one-to-one, which is super direct, very customizable support, and it's meeting your client exactly where they are at. So you have low visibility. What this means is you're not going hard on social media. You're not trying to go viral. You don't need to reach millions of people. You want to hit directly to your client. The goal is not virality. And so maybe you already have a marketing through social media and you don't have that many followers. This is a really good framework for getting you an extra $5,500 a month. You have 20 people in a $100 a month group membership, so recurring revenue. So every single month they pay $100. They're either on a contract or they're not on a contract. You can just have this as a subscription, cancel anytime, or you can have like this is a 6-month container. You join $100 a month. This is your contract. This is the obligation. You get them to sign that contract. Then you also, on top of that, you have 2 one-to-one clients. This is direct customized supports. It's $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. Wherever you are at for demand, that's what you're going to charge, right? And then you have a passive course that you've created. Maybe you're really good at inner child healing or shadow work, and it doesn't require you to be present and doesn't require you to do mentorship. It's like a 5-step course that they can go through on their own at their own time. You make 5 sales of that, $300 a month. That gets you to your $5,500 a month goal. Now, high visibility. This is for people that have a huge social media audience. They want to grow. They want a lot of people in their space. They want a lot of eyes on them. So you would have 100 people in your group membership, and then you only have to charge $50 for a group membership. It's like a no-brainer for people to dive in, right? And I actually know somebody who does this. I think she's got 100,000 followers. She's really good at building community. Her name is Abigail Pugh. She's a digital product coach, and she has, I think her membership when it launched, it was $33 a month. And so it was no brainer. She had 600 people come in like right off the bat, like huge numbers, huge revenue. And then you have 20 people in a passive course. So this can be a low ticket PDF. Again, we go back to like the inner child healing or the shadow work or whatever. $15 to $27 is what you can price that PDF at. And then you have 2 one-to-one clients, right? We want to keep some of those one-to-one clients because you can charge them a little bit more, so $400 a month. But this doesn't mean that you have to be working with them every week. So sometimes what I do with my one-to-one clients is we meet twice a month, but then they have access to me 2 to 3 days a week in Telegram. So it's easier for me, especially as somebody who stays home with her kids full time, to just like pick up my phone and be like, yes, I can respond. I can coach you on this. I can do audio drops on this without us having to have a constant Zoom schedule going. I think it actually works better for me and for my client because they also have a busy life. Now, if you just want recurring income, you're just like, I just want constant cash flow. I want predictable income. This is the best method, is doing 50 people in a $50 a month group membership. You have 5 people in a very high intensive, high touch, 6 to 12 month coaching program. So this is a contract that they sign and you charge anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. This is you sharing like your top level gifts. You've got curriculum in there, but what they're really paying for is that access to you, to the result that you promise, that big transformation, and then you keep your one-to-one clients. The last one here is just a bonus, totally customizable on how to hit your 10 to 20K month goal for after you've added the additional 5K revenue, or you just go straight to that 20K month, okay? Oops. So how do we get clients on a global level? Social media, Grassroots. That means getting out there in community, networking, not waiting for opportunity. I'm going to go back to social media. Um, but creating opportunity. So what I did in my own community, and I've gotten a lot of clients from this, is every month I host a workshop in the community and I just spam the shit out of Facebook. I go into all the local communities that surrounding areas and I'm like, hey, I'm hosting this amazing workshop. First, I make sure people are interested. I'm like, would anybody be interested in this workshop? And then I save all those people. And then I'm like, okay, this is the date. I'm hosting it. I rented a hall. It was like $20 to rent a hall. And I had a bunch of people show up. And then I converted, I would say 40% of them, maybe 40% of them into my online containers, which was incredible. And it was really nice to show up and meet people in person. Podcast is another great one. You can do subscription podcasts, but what I notice is a really strong trend right now is Telegram instead. And so instead of having a podcast, because I think the podcast market, there's more podcasters than there are listeners right now, which is crazy. And so I think people are kind of like overwhelmed by the podcast industry. And so I feel like a Telegram container, it can be one way. It can be like a podcast, but you drop voice drops in there. It's basically access to your zone of genius. You embody the result that they want. And so they want to be in your world. They want to know how you think, they want to know how you operate. And so doing that in Telegram group is another option. And then, of course, social media. There are over 500 million users on social media every single day, which means every time you show up on social media, you have the opportunity to reach over 500 million people. And when you get very clear on your dream client, your dream customer, you know exactly who they are and what you want, it's very easy for them to see you through their phone and be like, oh my God, she's in my head. She's talking directly to me. I need this person in my life. And so social media is how I do most of my marketing. It's probably how you found me. And I love it. And I post on all the platforms. And there is no right way. There's no wrong way to do it. There are, of course, some steps. There's some strategies. There's some frameworks. But as far as how you want to show up and serve, that's what you do. You focus on showing up and serving as the authority, speaking your truth, making sure you're connecting in a way that also like adapts to the algorithm, right? Like you don't want to show up talking to your phone and they can't hear you, and you don't want to have like dark lighting, and you want to make sure the screen on or the text on screen is visible. Like there's little hacks to this. And if you want to dive deeper into that, of course, there's YouTube videos and my course and community walk you through all of these step by step. This is the 5-step plan you're going to get in your email if you are with me here live on our Zoom call. And if you want this, I will put a way to download this as well if you're watching this later on YouTube or the recording. This is the 5 steps to increase your impact and income. And this will break down more of that social media piece, what kind of product to create, and where to go from there. And that brings us to the end. So if you want to learn the step-by-steps, the how to implement this, you want some one-to-one coaching, you want more eyes on the blind spots of your business, I want to invite you to join me inside Her Way Society. This is a community of women where we are fucking setting delusional goals. We are crushing delusional goals. There is no limit to what we are capable of achieving. And because you were part of this masterclass, you will get a discount. If you are watching the recording, you will not. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing the record. I'm going to stop the recording. And then we're going to dive into some Q&A. And I can't wait to just like dive into your business and learn about your goals and dissect all of that.